Welcome back to the show. Today, we're diving into a totally fascinating explainer that uncovers a hidden, almost invisible layer in the digital content our kids are consuming every single day. We're looking at this really shocking intersection where highly curated, incredibly safe children's media meets the complex and honestly unpredictable world of downstream artificial intelligence. We're calling this the Trojan horse in kids tech, and by the end of this explainer, you'll see exactly why this is such a big deal. So let's set the stage here by looking at just how strictly regulated children's media actually is today. Under the incredibly stringent new 2026 COPPA rules for mobile apps, the compliance checklist is locked down. We're talking 5 fields, no personal information, nothing to consent to, nothing to delete, nothing to disclose. Basically, we've built these massive, heavily guarded regulatory fortresses around our kids to make absolute sure their digital environments are safe. But here's the catch. We all think of closed captioning and automatic subtitles as these brilliant accessibility tools, right? And they absolutely are. They help kids learn to read, they make content accessible for the hearing impaired. It's great. But what actually happens when the downstream AI powering those very subtitles accidentally becomes a threat? What happens when it starts injecting things into that digital fortress that were literally never supposed to be there? Section 1. The evolution of kids' TV. Safe, curated broadcasts. To really understand how we got here, we kind of have to look back at how traditional broadcasts operated. Historically, children's television was this highly curated, incredibly safe space. It was completely devoid of sensitive or adult themes. These were just easygoing programs on Saturday mornings, carefully designed to blend entertainment with learning, problem-solving, and social development. And the key here? Everything was manually checked, scripted, and reviewed by actual human beings long before it ever hit the airwaves. Section 2. The YouTube Kids Boom, a digital explosion. Well, that safe, manually curated era has essentially been replaced by a digital explosion. The sheer scale of modern kids' media is just staggering. We aren't talking about a few million kids watching TV anymore. We're talking about CoComelon with over 175 million subscribers pulling in literally billions of views. You've got Ryan's World sitting at over 35 million. Platforms like YouTube Kids have become massive alternatives to traditional TV, bringing an absolute explosion in the sheer volume of content kids are watching globally. Section 3. The AI hallucination problem, a core conflict. Now, with that massive volume comes a huge reliance on automated systems. And that forces us to ask a really tough question. How do highly inappropriate, entirely taboo words suddenly show up in videos that were carefully filmed and moderated to be 100% safe? If the creators didn't say these words and the human content moderators didn't flag the audio, where on earth are they coming from? Well, researchers from the Association for the Advancement of Artificial Intelligence actually coined a term for this: inappropriate content hallucination. So the crucial point to understand here is that the danger isn't in the original video itself. The creators aren't secretly cursing. Instead, the inappropriate content is inadvertently injected downstream by the automatic speech recognition or ASR systems that are generating the subtitles. The AI is literally hearing things that aren't there and just stamping them right onto the screen. Imagine a perfectly innocent review of a stretchy green toy crab on a channel with over 1 million subscribers. The audio is crystal clear, but then you get this incredibly jarring visual dissonance because the ASR system incorrectly transcribed the word crab as a profanity. The audio is perfectly clean, but the text the child is reading? Absolutely not. And guys, it gets so much more severe than that. Check out these 2 examples from the study. In a Ryan's World video about a cardboard craft, a kid says "that is," but the AI transcribes it as panties. Or in an animated show called Rob the Robot, a character talks about needing to be strong and brave, and the AI transcribes brave into a highly disturbing adult taboo word. Think about the real-world impact here. We know captions improve reading skills in children, but if a kid is watching on mute or reading along to learn, they're absorbing these highly inappropriate words without having any idea that they're wrong. Section 4. Unpacking transcription errors. Understanding failures. So, you're probably wondering, how do billion-dollar AI systems make such horrific mistakes? When researchers unpacked these failures, they found some very specific real-world audio challenges that just completely confuse the algorithms. Kids' videos are loud, right? They've got heavy background music, fast-paced rhymes, weird erratic pauses, and lots of baby talk. Plus, children's actual vocal tracks are different, which makes their speech way harder for AI to parse. Toss in the fact that many videos feature English as a second language speakers, and you've got this perfect storm that just breaks the ASR system's ability to map audio to text. But here is the absolute craziest part of all this: the AI's confidence. When you or I make a mistake, we usually sound pretty unsure, right? We hesitate. But the data from Amazon Transcribe shows that the vast majority of these hallucinated taboo words have a confidence score skewed heavily toward 1.0. That means the transcription systems are absolutely 100% certain they are right, even when they're confidently dropping terrible profanities into a toddler's cartoon. To figure out exactly what was slipping through, researchers took lexicons of taboo words from developmental psychology and hate speech databases and ran them against the transcripts. And the frequency of these errors is genuinely alarming. Across both Amazon and Google transcripts, you repeatedly see highly inappropriate adult profanities, words like shit, fuck, and bitch, being hallucinated across thousands of videos. To really put that into perspective, the researchers found that nearly 1 in 10 videos analyzed contained at least one or more of these highly inappropriate taboo words in the AI transcripts. 1 in 10. Now, remember those crazy subscriber numbers we talked about earlier? When you have channels with billions of views, a 1 in 10 error rate means millions upon millions of children could potentially be exposed to this text. Section 5. Fixing the downstream AI. Proposed solutions. Okay, so how do we actually fix this? Well, researchers designed a really clever corrective pipeline. First, they identify the taboo word and mask it. It's like a giant game of fill in the blank, something psycholinguists call a close task. Next, they generate a list of innocent candidate words that sound or are spelled similarly, like swapping crap back to crab. Finally, they feed the sentence into an advanced masked language model. The model uses the surrounding context of the sentence to predict which of those innocent candidate words actually makes the most logical sense. It's pretty brilliant. And honestly, the results of that fix are pretty interesting. Models like Megatron, using a strategy called Liebenstein distance, which just measures word similarity, saw some decent success. It fixed over 25% of the Amazon errors and over 28% of the Google errors. Now, fixing roughly a quarter of the errors might sound a little low, but researchers point out that these are incredibly difficult, garbled sentences. What this really proves is that if you take this tool and pair it with a human-in-the-loop content moderator, we could drastically improve digital safety and catch these hallucinations long before a kid ever sees them. But get ready for a deeply ironic twist here. The language models they use to fix these errors, like Megatron and BERT, sometimes confidently suggest profanities themselves. Why? Because these massive fixing models are trained on broad, general internet data, which, let's face it, is absolutely full of adult-oriented content. So they have this massive blind spot. They don't just speak kid, right? They speak internet, and the internet is packed with taboo words. Which brings us to a massive red flag from the researchers themselves. They warn, in many such cases, we are dealing with opaque systems where it is impossible to know on what data these large systems are trained on. It perfectly highlights the huge, inherent risk of relying entirely on black box AI systems for child safety. When the output from one mysterious AI system just becomes the input for another, the whole chain of custody for keeping kids safe completely breaks down. So I want to leave you with this thought. We spend so much energy policing original videos, setting up regulatory fortresses, and enforcing privacy laws. But as AI becomes more and more deeply embedded in our digital guardrails, literally writing the subtitles, summarizing the content, and filtering the feeds, how can we truly trust what these invisible, downstream systems are feeding our kids? It's a fascinating and honestly urgent challenge for the next era of digital safety. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I hope it gives you a whole new perspective on the hidden layers of the media we consume every single day.